Welcome! You're listening to Making Relationships Work. We're a company focused on women and their marriage. We lead and teach women just like you how to grow into and access, whenever you need to, your wise woman self, the part of you who is deeply connected to your purpose, your innate wisdom, and your husband and family. We teach women in marriages how to rebuild trust and connection, to work through conflicts, no matter how deep, no matter how painful, and to lead your marriage to a place where the two of you experience marriage mastery. This podcast is about learning the systems and techniques that truly work to reconnect you back into your marriage so that you can experience the freedom that comes with a masterful marriage. Since this podcast is totally free, if you're getting tons of value and you want to support us and make sure that you get more of this good stuff, subscribe below and rate and review our podcast today. Now, on to the show. Hello, everybody. Hello, Women Making Marriages Work Facebook group. Hello, Making Relationships Work podcast and YouTube channel. I'm delighted to be here with you tonight. I really am. And the reason I'm particularly delighted tonight is that we're going to be talking about something pretty close to my heart, which is how do you live in a marriage where somebody has brought in mental health issues? So it might be ADHD, it might be ASD, it might be bipolar, depression, anxiety, PTSD. Basically, we're looking at what happens when those experiences live in your marriage because they come in with you or they come in with your husband. I've had a question from the group where a beautiful wise woman wants to know how she should react and respond to what would be typical issues in a marriage, but she feels as though she has to watch herself because she doesn't want to send her husband into a downward spiral of depression and anxiety. And she also explains that her husband has wiring that's different because of his family of origin or early childhood or earlier years experiences where he had emotional, verbal, and even physical abuse as a child and a teenager. And so he still has to occasionally deal with his family of origin who did that to him. And she is left with the results of the impact of those formative years that he received as a child, which was not his fault. It was the cards he was dealt. And how does she react and respond with somebody who is wired in that way and loves her very much, I can tell from the message, but also doesn't know how to respond differently because it hits his wiring in ways that means that he responds in that downward spiral of depression and anxiety. I'd guess sometimes, not all the time, but enough that she is adjusting the way she shows up to try and accommodate him. And so what I would talk about with this, first thing I would do is normalize it. Most marriages have some version of this in it. It might not be at the level that I just kind of set ourselves up to talk about, but the kind of mental health conditions she has listed, ADHD, bipolar, depression, anxiety, PTSD, and I also added ASD, they're pretty common. They're pretty prevalent. Modern society is dealing with these now at unprecedented levels. And so this is a conversation for everybody. It's not just a conversation for you. But what happens is if you've got kind of that extra layer of complexity to navigate in a marriage, you've got that in the marriage, then it does shape the way that the marriage runs. And left to its own devices, what tends to happen is one person or both people learn to kind of avoid it and try and kind of control it or manage it or stabilize it. It's a very human response. And in most circumstances, it's one of those very loving gifts to our partner. And from some perspectives, it's very helpful. And from other perspectives, it's not helpful. So you can become an unwitting enabler, but you can also be a very good space of stability. Does that make sense? And so we tread a very fine line when it comes to what is an appropriate way to show up that's stabilizing and useful for both people in the marriage, and when does it tip into enabling where you can't have a conversation about anything for fear of that downward spiral. And I think that's what we're really talking about tonight. Now, when you are set up to kind of, in a marriage, when you're set up to work with these complexities, you are able to have a language that allows you to communicate that both of you know where the other one is, and then we're going to put some space in until things have settled, and then we're going to go ahead and solve or work through the issue that needs to happen. That's what a functional response looks like in a space of complexity when we're talking about mental health. When we're in the space where it's not working very well, or it's in the dysfunctional space and those same issues exist, what we're doing is trying to patch them up. So it's like the image I have is like a dam wall with leaks, and the water's kind of spurting, and you're like trying to stop one leak and then another leak, and then you're kind of trying to stop it, but they're all kind of coming, and you're trying to shore up a wall or a foundation, right? That's not really set up well for the two of you to have a great marriage in. And left a long time, because remember, most couples take 6 years to get to therapy. So it's 6 years of crisis they live in before they say, I can't do this anymore. So left a long time, what tends to happen is this becomes particularly messy and particularly hard to unwind, because the two of you have set it up in a way where the mental health issues are kind of worked around or overly catered for, instead of a robust and kind way of, and connected way of acknowledging them and working with them. They become something to kind of avoid, or something to move around, or something to try and predict and go another way. And in doing that, what happens is we get too much power in that space where those mental health conditions become dominant in the marriage and dominant in the individual's life. And of course, that's not healthy for anybody. And so what we're really talking about is a way to look at this so that you're not stuck in that space where you're tiptoeing around each other, or you start a conversation and you know it's going to end in a burst of anger or self-flagellation or guilt or depression or anxiety, or that downward spiral till you have to go back in and build that person up, because that's a really unhealthy for both people, toxic relationship cycle. And it's common whether you have mental health issues or complexities in your marriage or not. But when you have that overlay and you have that sense of it's tricky to have a true conversation because the wounds that person carries are deep, then we're not allowing that person to experience that sense of healing. We're not allowing that person that sense of being able to go into that space and have a good exchange, and then have a sense of, oh, I don't have to tiptoe around this idea. And it's not something that you do without guided help. This is not something that is easily managed without a new set of skills and a new set of principles and competencies that are grown in you. And so I can talk about this very generally, but you're going to want to have somebody to teach you how to do this, because this space is an advanced space. Yeah, it's an advanced technical space. And I guess my main message to you is it can be co-created, where the two of you set this up in a way that's very good for both of you. And those mental health issues can become something that lives in your marriage, but isn't the dominant part of your marriage, which is what I'm hearing. And so the easiest way for me to help with this, apart from talking this through, is to talk to you about how I can help. So my masterclass is always a good place to start in terms of those basic skills that are very good in every marriage. When you add the complexities of this, you're going to want to call my team and have a conversation about where you are in more detail, because we can't really assess from the paragraph you've left me, although you've done a great job of telling me about it. And then we'll get a good understanding about whether we're a fit for you. And if we're not, I can point you in the direction of a place that would be a better fit for you. And so that's where this conversation needs to go. And so if you're somebody who's listening to this and is thinking, oh, that resonates with me, then follow the same process. Go for it. You're very welcome to. I'll put the links in the bottom. Okay, I'll ask Leilani to put the links in the bottom. So the link will be for my masterclass, and then the calendar to book a free breakthrough call. But don't book that call with us. We're really lovely way. We're very busy at the moment serving our community. And so this is a space where if you're ready to invest, excuse me, I can never turn those things off. If you're ready to invest in a different way, if you're ready to invest in a different life, if you're ready to invest the time and energy that it's going to take to turn this around, that's the type of person that needs to book a call. If you're just kind of information seeking and looking for free advice that's going to change your life by 1 or 2%, we're not your people, my friend. We're here for the deep, big relationship transformation space, this kind of transformations that affect yourself and your husband and your marriage, but also affect your children and your grandchildren. We're looking at people who want to change that intergenerational trauma, that want to have a different experience, that they model for their kids so their kids can see what a healthy, functional relationship looks like. And we also are people who want to work with people who hold that same kind of value on growth and leadership and commitment. So that's the type of person that should book a call with us, someone who's ready to go, ready to invest, ready to have a different outcome, not somebody who's going to kind of book that call but not really do anything with us, because we want to work with people who really want to work with us. Essentially, we want to work with people who are ready to go, who are deeply committed to having a different life. So I hope this has helped. One of the most important things to remember is that if you're in pain around this space, then it's not going to naturally get better by itself. It's not going to get better without a specialist intervention where you can create a safe space that allows things to be different and allows a new conversation to happen where we're able to talk about those mental health issues and we're able to make a plan that the two of you feel really confident in executing together. A new foundation, a new set of skills, a new set of competencies. That's essentially what we're talking about. And so, my friends, it's time for me to go. I wish you a wonderful, wonderful night. It was really nice to share this space with you, and I'll see you all very soon. Much love to you. Bye, loves. Thank you for tuning into today's show. If you're feeling fired up and you're ready to grow and you want to know more about how to do that, here is what I want you to do now. I want you to watch my marriage masterclass. This masterclass will show you how my clients have turned their struggling marriages into thriving marriages, even without their husband's buy-in. How my clients have gone from cycles of poor communication, disconnect and loneliness to being teammates and soulmates with their husbands again, even after they've already tried everything. And the proven system my clients use to start transforming their marriages in minutes, not years, because life is too precious to waste one more minute in an unhappy and unfulfilling marriage. So if this is what you're looking for, I want you to click the link below